Say good morning, Cliff.
Good morning, Cliff. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. Eileen Delrossi is on the phone.
Good morning.
She's got bus mother duties. And our producer is John McDonough. Friday the 18th. The weather today, how is it up on Christian Hill?
It actually feels warmer than yesterday. Yesterday there was actually frost on the window. Today there wasn't.
Over my way, because I park outside, the windows were all fogged up, and I wish I'd worn gloves. But it's supposed to be a beautiful weekend. Today is the birthday of Lowell resident Greg Page. History.
Also, Dave Conway.
Dave Conway, all right. School committee member. In 1540, Spanish conquistador Hernando de Soto, with his forces, destroyed the fortified town of Mabala in present-day Alabama, killing Tuscaloosa, the chief. So we know the name Tuscaloosa from today, right? In 1648, Boston shoemakers formed the first American labor organization. Boy, that's a ways back. 1851, Herman Melville's Moby Dick is first published under the title The Whale by Richard Bentley of London. It's amazing. Moby Dick, every year there's a weekend when people gather down in Salem and read from Moby Dick. Has quite a following. In 1867, the United States takes possession of Alaska after purchasing it from Russia for $7.2 million. So today is Alaska Day in Alaska. At the time, it was known as Seward's Folly. It was thought that that was a lot of money for nothing. That was a mistake. 1944, World War II. The state funeral of Field Marshal Erwin Rommel takes place in Ulm, Germany. Marshal Rommel committed suicide in order to protect his family after the coup by Stauffenberg in the summer. 1945, the Soviet Union's nuclear program receives plans for the United States plutonium bomb from Klaus Fuchs at the Los Alamos National Laboratory. Yeah, there was a lot of spying going on. And in 1945, Argentine military officer and politician Juan Perón marries actress Eva Duarte. Can you sing Don't Cry for Me, Argentina?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Don't cry for me, Argentina.
I don't think you should try either.
Yeah, you're right. 2019, NASA astronaut Jessica Meir and Christina Koch take part in the first all-female spacewalk when they venture out of the International Space Station to replace a power controller. In 1897, Isabel Briggs Myers, who Wikipedia lists as an American theorist and author, was born. She died in 1980. She had a pretty long run. So, Eileen, what is your Myers-Briggs personality?
Well, Well, mine was done when I was at Middlesex Community College. I definitely know it was introverted. Tell me yours so I can remember the wording again.
I'm an INTP.
Yeah, but all of that means something. Introverted. Hold on, let me look. All right, can we come back to that?
Yeah, we'll ask John what his Myers-Briggs personality is. John,
Yes, Cliff.
what is your Myers-Briggs?
Well, I have 3 P's.
3 Ps?
3 P's.
And tell us what the 3 Ps are.
Price, price, and price. I don't know what you're talking about, Cliff. I don't know who this character is, and I'm okay with it. Did you watch?
Wait, we're not moving off the topic for a second. I'm surprised that Ellen didn't at some point give you a chance to participate in this.
Cliff, you enjoy being the smartest man in the room wherever you go. You can go to City Hall and sit with your colleagues on the board. You can go to the Immaculate Conception Church, and you're the smartest person in the room. And everyone will admit it. Cliff, the smartest person in the room. We don't all enjoy your intelligence. So would you please enlighten the audience what you're talking about?
So Myers and Briggs are a couple of people that developed a personality test that has enjoyed certain amount of popularity in the United States and became a big deal in Japan after World War II. And it looks at, are you an extrovert or an introvert? John, I would say, is an extrovert. Are you a sensor or are you an intuitor? When you walk into the room, what?
Cliff, you're an logistic person. Logistic, sorry. Have a good day. You too. Logistic.
Well, now that's an insult.
See, he's a
Are you
deep-thinking logistic person.
But I could also see you as a commander, too. I would say John's an ENTPA or ENTP.
LMNOP to you, too.
I think when I did it, I'm the INFP, the mediator type, introverted, yeah, that's what mine came out to be.
I would say,
No, John's definitely the protagonist. ENFJ.
yeah.
Doodah. Antagonist.
Yeah, check that out with Ellen and get back to us on Monday.
Look that big word up.
Get back to us on Monday. Okay, in 1956, Martina Navratilova was born. So let's see. Oh, in 1984, Milo Yiannopoulos, British journalist and public speaker, was born. 1931, Thomas Alva Edison passed away. He invented the phonograph, for instance. 1973, Walt Kelly died. You know Walt Kelly?
Do I know?
I don't know.
Do you know
Is
Pogo?
he woke Kelly?
Walt.
I'm sorry, Cliff, you just continuously prove how stupid we really are.
You've never heard of Pogo?
Again, repeating the same statement. Thank you, Cliff. I'm
well.
proud to be the stupid person as one of your friends. I'm like the sidekick, the dummy.
2021
Johnny Carson had Ed McMahon.
What?
Kind of like that. you know? Everybody has a dummy they can make fun of.
Actually, John, I happen to think that you're pretty bright and that you hide from it. 2021, Colin Powell passed away.
No, tell us who Pogo is.
Pogo is a little possum in a cartoon called Pogo.
Oh.
And Pogo is famous for having said, "We have met the enemy, and it is us."
There's also an app on your phone called Pogo where you can scan your receipts and earn rewards.
Oh.
So there you go. So, Eileen, antagonist, a person who actively opposes or is hostile to someone or something, an adversary, he turned to confront his antagonist.
No, I said not antagonist. I said you're the protagonist.
I'll look up that one.
But, John, I also sent you the list of them in your messenger. I just sent them, so if you want to look it up.
I haven't
Cliff
opened up Facebook
talked
yet. I
about.
have to do that and share. Protagonist, a leading character or one of the major characters in a drama. My granddaughter Zoe's into drama. She did a nice performance this week. So, thank you, Eileen. When are you coming? Is Anthony on the bus?
No, not yet. He stayed at my sister's last night, so I'm just picking him up now, and he's eating breakfast. And
rocking and
then
rolling
he'll get on
like
the
that.
bus at 6:30, and then I'll head there.
That kid rocks and rolls, baby.
Yes, he does. He lives the best life possible.
I got to get Facebook cooking here, so we got
Okay.
a Facebook audience cooking.
So in the news, Yahya Sinwar, the Hamas leader, is dead. So the Israelis have got the three top organizers of the 7 October 2023 attack known as Al-Aqsa flood. They killed, 1,200 Israelis? There was a fundraiser last night in New York City, the Al Smith dinner. Did anybody catch it? John caught the Al Smith dinner.
Yes, I watched it. I finished, you had, for my homework, you had asked me to, I'm tinkering with the computer at the same time. I'm trying to get Facebook cooking. And there it is. Let me hit share. Not a hard thing to do, just a finger to push down here. Okay, yeah, I finished watching the Deaton-Warren debate. And that was an interesting thing to watch. I enjoyed it. And you wanted to discuss that. I don't know when, but we can discuss that when you're ready. And after that, you two brought me to President Trump performing his masterful skill of picking on people in the audience. And he's surrounded by Chuck Schumer is sitting right next to him. So it's nice to watch. And some good-looking blonde lady sitting in the front, I don't know what the heck she's doing. As Trump's talking, she's talking like she's talking on, I don't know whether she's talking on the cell phone or somebody or she's talking to the person next to her. But I just thought that was...
Is this the one with the dark dress with the white stripe down the left side?
Yeah.
I think she's the wife of the hired comic who was sitting next to her.
Oh, pretty girl.
She was.
I'll put that up on the screen so you can see. But yeah, it was good. It was good. There were a lot of laughs. Good crowd there. It was for raising money for Catholics.
Did you catch the Kamala Harris video since she couldn't make it herself?
I didn't make time to watch that yet. I haven't made
Okay.
time to watch her complete debate with Brett Huhn because no one can tell me factually were the questions shared between the commentator, between the interviewer and Vice President Harris. And have you seen the new T-shirts that hate Harris?
I haven't seen the new T-shirts.
Okay. I'll try to find them, put it up on the screen. It's kind of
I don't think the questions
little
were
vulgar.
shared.
little vulgar.
Eileen, did you see the Al Smith dinner?
I saw little bits of it. But what is the Al Smith dinner anyway? Can you give me some history on that?
Al Smith in 1928 was the first Roman Catholic to run for president of a major political party. He ran against Herbert Hoover and lost. He had been the governor of New York State. And this dinner was instituted in honor of Al Smith, a Democrat, and has been a fundraiser ever since. I think 50-some years.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I thought candidate Harris's video was, but at least she did something since she didn't show up. Typically, presidential candidates show up. The last time a presidential candidate didn't show up was back in 1984. And
This gal right here, isn't she a TV gal?
I don't know.
She's pretty as a picture. I think
Yeah.
she's a TV gal, but I don't
Yeah.
know. But when Trump's talking, he's like going with his dialogue, whatever he was saying. And she just is chatterboxing. I didn't know whether she was on the phone or what, but I just thought that she should have been paying more attention. Because even Schumer was his, Chuck Schumer, he's paying attention. This is Bob Kraft sitting up front.
Yep.
And this is some,
Bloomberg. That's former Mayor Bloomberg.
so there's a lot of fancy-pantsy New Yorkers there. And got a few chuckles out of that. But if you go to YouTube, it's all over YouTube.
If to the Trump's right, to the left of the screen, just off the screen, is Trump's favorite Attorney General, Letitia James.
This gal?
No.
Don't
Off
do
the
stage
screen.
right. Looking at the screen, right or left, Cliff?
On the left.
On the left.
You can't, she's beyond,
She's out of the shot?
out of the shot.
Okay, then never mind.
Out of the
Never
shot,
mind.
on the right, my wife thinks is Maria Bartiromo.
There's another beauty queen in the back here. Who's
Yeah.
Who's this gal?
I have no idea.
Lovely woman. Lovely outfit.
So,
Back to Cliff.
anyway, 1984, Walter Mondale didn't show at the Al Smith dinner. He was the last candidate to not show. He won one state, lost 49 to Ronald Reagan. I'm not saying that it's bad luck to not show, but there's some small correlation there. So, yeah.
What's the percentage of the correlation, Cliff?
I don't know. That's going back 40 years, so since then, everyone's shown, so I don't know. So, yes, as the producer said, candidate Harris was on Fox News with Bret Baier on Wednesday. I don't think that the questions were passed to her because...
Key word there. You don't know either.
Yes, I don't know.
Because
But the key word is think, because thinking is what distinguishes us from the rocks.
Clifford,
John,
I've been at this gig a long time.
yeah?
And I've had people, the good old days, George Anthes would get, he'd say, well, be in touch with, it suggested, George never told you what to do, he'd just suggest you. Be in touch with this guy, be in touch with that guy. Never met the likes of Marty Mann. Marty Mann wanted to know, what are you going to ask me? What are you going to ask me? And so then he would send his, the girl working for her, Byrne, what was her first name? Byrne? Emily Byrne, I think her name was. Lovely gal. And he would have her meet me for coffee. And she'd want to know, Marty wants to be able to answer the questions you're going to ask for him. So what questions are you going to ask him? And George said, I'm not saying. So I'd say, hey, George, Marty wants to know what questions you're going to ask him. He said, no, I'm not going to do that. Make them up as we go. So vetted questions, to some people, they come in with a script. These are the questions you're going to ask me. I have a right to edit this. I have a right to cancel this. So
Yes.
those are questions I would like to get concrete answers on. It's not worth chasing anybody because I don't think I'll get a truthful answer out of them anyway.
I don't know who I would ask. On the other hand, from observation, given that she never answered a question he asked, I'm left with the impression that she didn't have the questions ahead of time, so therefore didn't prep herself for them.
I got your take.
So a blog site I watched, I read Alt House blog site. She's a retired law professor out in Madison, Wisconsin. She got halfway through and couldn't stand it and turned it off.
You can just mute it.
Candidate Harris tended to not answer questions, and Brett Baer tried to follow up when she resisted.
Did you see Saturday Night Live's rendition of her?
No.
And it was funny to watch. They mimic her that every question she asks, she starts out that she was from a middle class, she was from a poor family or something. I don't know.
Middle class family.
I'm a middle class family. My mother worked hard and all this stuff, and that's how she begins every question. To answer every question.
Yes. She just wants to make that point.
And I saw, who's the guy on Channel 4? Lackluster performance on, and he's a seasoned reporter, but he's a blue underwear Democrat. By that I mean, he says a prayer to the highest Democrat he knows before he says a prayer to God. He's a that's how blue underwear Democrat this guy is. And I'll look up his name in a second. He just did not penetrate questions. So, Cliff, how are you? Oh, how are your shoes? Where'd you buy your TV? Where you going on vacation? Cliff, how are you? And you don't give me the answer. As a hobbyist media person, I will be antagonistic and still say, Cliff, you gave me a lot of information, but I didn't hear how you are. And Elizabeth Warren wouldn't, if that's not important. It's important to me. I'm the interviewer, and I'm not getting a clear answer from you. And if you want to leave it like that, I understand what you're telling me. But it's an interview where I ask you a question, and you give me an answer. And I'm just asking how you are, and you're saying that's not important.
Yeah, that's going on. But because Brett Baer kept going back to his questions, Democrats and Democrat-leaning media have said he was antagonistic. Did you catch this interview, Eileen?
I only saw bits and pieces. I really want to sit down and look at it. I did see a small clip after with Brett Baer interviewing. Like, I guess she was also late, and they didn't have the time that they thought they were going to originally have with her.
Yes.
But no, I really want to sit down and watch it and see how it went down. But I had only clips, so I couldn't really speak on it.
Can you read the comment from the audience, Cliff?
Yeah, Brett Baer said yesterday that Harris showed up 17 minutes late for the interview.
Brett Boring.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brett Boring. Yeah.
If you want to comment, we're not doing phone calls because of electronic shortages. By that I mean my phone is the instrument I use to put the show on Facebook. So my phone is, I can see it's on a tripod in the other room, and it actually films or videos off the TV set in the other room. So
If anybody in the audience would like to make a collection, I'm collecting money to buy John another phone.
Cliff, I don't need another phone. I got enough toys. got enough. I was going to use the iPad, but my fear was Eileen was going to say, send me a link.
Ah.
So that didn't happen.
So, anyway, back to the Vice President and Brett Baer. I think some scored it a win in that she was on Fox News, which got her exposure to a totally different audience, and she got to sell the idea that candidate Trump is totally unfit for being president, including being unstable and with declining mental powers. And Jessica Tarloff summed it up saying she painted candidate Trump as unstable, erratic, and unfit. So.
Hey, Eileen sent this to me this morning. I'll put it up on the screen so people can look at it. And I'll shrink it up so you can see it on the screen there. 16 personality types. And I love this stuff. And you can be, let me shrink it up a little more. I can't make it fit on the screen. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. An architect, a log, whatever that word is. Got that word, Cliff?
Logician.
Again?
Logician, someone who is logical, as
Okay.
opposed to a logistician,
a
which is
commander?
someone who moves things.
A commander, a debater.
Yeah.
Moving right along, we have an advocate, a mediator, a pragmatist, a campaigner, and we have a logistician,
Logistician.
thank you, defender, executive, a consul. And it goes on to virtuoso, adventurer, entrepreneur, entertainer, and
That's it, 16.
so pretty cool. Now we should, like, as candidates are running for office, which one would you say is President Trump?
He's an extrovert. He's an intuitor as opposed to a censor. I would say he's probably a feeler, and I think he's a little bit of a P, probably close to being a J. So that means he's not real rigid on time until it comes up to the
You gotta stick
point.
with the names on the screen, Cliff. Those are the only answers you can use.
John,
Yes?
guess what?
What?
I can only do it in terms of the letters.
The letters.
So,
All right.
so
Now moving over, now let's give Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, equal time. What do you think Kamala Harris is? And then we can move on. Our Democratic friends will say,
I think she's an extrovert. I think she's a censor. I think that
tongue-tied.
feeler, and I think that she's a J. She's sort of rigid, judgmental, and wants things to happen on time.
Well, we have more time, but we only have 2 hours, so not enough time. I'd like to get a little bit more information about these letters you're talking about.
Okay.
Another comment from the audience, if you could read that clip, because you're close to Eileen's phone.
Trump is an architect of saving America. That's an interesting thought.
If you want to comment, just comment to send that text to my cell phone, and I'll be happy to put it up there. If you're watching on Facebook, you can send a comment on Facebook, and you can also send a comment on YouTube.
So, the Boston Globe had an op-ed this week which says Trump's decline is too dangerous to ignore. And I think this is based on the fact that he gets asked a question and he wanders around using it as an opportunity to make other points. But he does come around and ended up answering the question. And the editorial board itself said that Trump's a threat to domestic security.
And if he likes his answer, he gives it to you 3 times. It's like, when they bless the casket, they hit it 3 times with the holy water.
Oh, that's good. So, Eileen, do you think Donald Trump's a threat to domestic security?
I mean, I think he's either going to be a threat. Hold on, sorry about that. I have to turn on my TV for my mom. Yeah.
Catholic school girl.
He's either going to be a threat or a blessing, I would say.
Yeah.
So there's no in between with him.
Yeah, my view is that in the final stretch of the campaign, the Democrats are working on pushing the idea that Trump is, the way some of us have been thinking of Joe Biden, that he's mentally declining and erratic and not able to form ideas. It was interesting to me that Tuesday, Bob Woodward, the former Washington Post reporter, published his book, War. I'm about 10% of the way in, but people have been publishing extracts from it, and so far, they all make Joe Biden look like the second coming of FDR, and Trump looking like an amateur that is out of his league. So I think that's going to be the push in the next, 18 days? Yeah. So, Eileen.
Yes, Claire.
Sorry, they're just having a snack bar at my school today.
Okay. How is Karen Reed doing? What's the story?
Ooh, a lot going on. Defense sent a motion in to dismiss the charges, and prosecution. Yes. Prosecution said no, and now the defense has its chance to respond. And also, for anybody who's obsessed with this case like me, she'll be on Dateline tonight.
Karen will?
Yep, Dateline.
So what's the story that the police have decided they need to go back and relook at Karen Reed's suburban assault vehicle? Her SUV?
Yeah, they're saying it has more data on it that was not previously disclosed. Which I mean, so I didn't realize even how advanced those dash cams really are. So my brother was recently in a car accident in Rhode Island, and it was like he was up the weekend, and we could, like, he showed exactly like before, and then the point of impact. And I was pretty like, wow, I didn't realize that even existed in our vehicles. So, yeah, and his car ended up catching on fire, and it was a hot mess. But I guess your car tells the story of what really happened, but it'll be interesting to see what the prosecution does have. But the other thing that interests me is Hank Brennan's connection, where he defended Whitey, and I don't really truly, and I want to take time to look into it. I know Whitey was in the cahoots with the FBI and so forth, but I think this goes as far back as the Whitey Bulger thing and the connections that stemmed from that, and that's where I think all of this Canton stuff comes in, to tell you the truth. But that's just my conspiracy theories going on in my head.
What about the pregnant girlfriend?
Oh. You mean Sandra Birchmore?
Yes.
That was from Matthew Farwell, right? And that was before Karen Reed in 2021. And that was a situation where she did a Young Explorers program, and Robert Devine, who was the captain then, and Matthew Farwell and his brother William Farwell were police officers at that point, and they groomed Sandra Birchmore starting when she was 12 years old. Sandra really came from a broken home, a single mom, so they preyed on her vulnerabilities, and essentially, I call it child trafficking anytime a much older person takes advantage of a younger person. And he was arrested for her strangulation, but made it seem at that time, along with his friends from Mass State Police and Canton, that she had hung herself and it was a suicide. And for years, that's what people believed until I think it was Kirk Minahan from one of the radio stations around here got into it, and he really started uncovering that. And the name of his series is called The Case. It's season 1 and season 2 of The Case, and it really breaks it down. And it's these independent journalists like a John McDonough, right, and Turtle Boy, who really uncover these truths, because the mainstream media is also corrupt.
Yeah. Okay, John, can you put back that? That we have someone sent in Bob Woodward's book is good for one thing, The Fireplace. Yeah, there are people who are not very trustworthy of Bob Woodward. Woodward. For instance, he claims to have interviewed the director of the CIA when the director was in a coma. I don't know how that works. And the DOJ is investigating Special Prosecutor Ken Mello for the double jeopardy law. He might be the biggest hack of all in Massachusetts.
I know nothing about that.
Eileen.
Did someone comment on that?
Yeah, that was someone's comment.
Yes, Ken Mello is also corrupt. Yes, he is a hack, and he's called a special prosecutor. The way that this whole thing has been gone about, and Ken Mello was huge in Turtle Boy or Aiden Carney's case, and the corruption that is starting to come out is just disgusting. And double jeopardy, all of it, it's making the law look like it only works for those in power and not for those who are everyday laymen like you and I, and anybody. And that's why I think it's so important, this advocacy in these cases, because it could be me any day of the week. It could be you, Cliff. It could be my son. It could be grandchildren. You know what I mean? Anybody could be a victim of all of this.
So this, I know you can't see the screen, Eileen, but have you seen this Mello guy? Is that him?
I have no idea.
Ken Mello calls Canton PD on peaceful protesters. So I don't know who Ken Mello is. I don't know that this is his image. I first thought it was this guy, but I think that's Turtle Boy. So I don't know which one. Eileen gets it, we'll find out.
Okay.
Who Ken Mello actually is. Back to you, Cliff.
So, Eileen, did you catch the second debate between Senator Elizabeth Warren and John Deaton?
No, I did not see that.
John, you saw it, right?
Yeah, I thought it was Elizabeth. I think I don't know why she was acting like she was Vice President Harris, because all she did was much of her interview, much of the debate was covered by I still gotta look up that Channel 4 guy. Keller, John Keller. Terrible, terrible interviewer. He asked Elizabeth Warren a question, and she starts telling the audience how lousy the Republicans are. It's a page out of the Republican book, and she just kept going back to that. Vice President Harris is the best, and President Trump is living with the devil. And I thought it was and then Deaton, he just kept on task. Debate-wise, I think that Elizabeth Warren is, depending on the Massachusetts, magnificent Democratic machine in Massachusetts to keep her in office. And Deaton doesn't have a prayer. She should not have debated him, because he, in my view, and I never cared for Elizabeth Warren because she says a lot of stuff and really doesn't do anything. Namely, the banks. The banks are the stingiest outfit. You think insurance companies are bad? The banks are even worse. You put your savings in there, and they give you like 1%. And they lend the money out on their credit cards for 20%. So banks are really, they need regulation. You're not going to get, and Elizabeth Warren promised, I'm going to take care of the big banks. She certainly has. So, but on the interview, I think that Deaton completely won. Thank you for the time.
I'm not impressed with John Deaton or Elizabeth Warren. So, as I say, when you vote, write in John McDonough, 26 Highland Street, Lowell. And if we get enough people, John could be the next U.S. Senator.
Well, no, I might be running for city council. After this, after the presidential election in November.
Are you serious? You may run for city council?
Yeah, I'm gonna, Wayne Janess, to me, city council Wayne Janess, last night was the first night I have seen him at an event in this part of town. I went to the Back Central Neighborhood Group meeting, and there's about 25 people there. And a lovely meeting, always have a good time, you learn stuff. There's a guy I want to be in touch with, his name is Jake Fontes. And you know the cloud over where Prince Macaroni used to be, Mortley Group, I think it's called, Mortley? He was telling us about, I had no idea, they have these generators that run on diesel,
Yeah.
and the diesel exhaust stays in the neighborhood. And I thought the last time they talked about this issue that the Mortley company had to put smokestacks up to collect the diesel exhaust, so it put it high in the air and didn't let it get into the neighborhoods. That's not the case. So that's coming down the road, and it was a very interesting meeting. But Wayne Janess was there, and I had not seen him ever in this section of town.
You brought up the server farm down there where we used to have Prince Spaghetti.
Yep.
The fact is that artificial intelligence is increasing the demand for electricity. And the requirement for electricity, I've heard people say it's going to double. And we need to find ways of getting that electricity. And frankly, I don't think that the Biden administration, notwithstanding spending billions, has come up with an answer on that.
Well, I think it needs a lot more publicity than it's getting, so I'm going to call this guy Jake Fontes and see if I can get him to come Monday.
Okay. What I think of as a point of humor, out in Hanson, Massachusetts, and I'm not sure where Hanson is, but has ordered a resident to stop projecting a Trump 2024 sign on the town's water tower.
Yeah, he does a magnificent job with that. I thank you for the encouragement. It says, "Go, Mr. McD." Councilor Janice is an empty suit. What are his accomplishments? Well, what are my accomplishments? So same thing. But no, just the fact that the comment, my takeaway from the performance of the city council is they've just discussed, and they're angry. Last night, Kim Scott was there. Kim Scott's not too happy with me right now. Didn't have a chance to converse with her, but I think she's an angry person, at me anyway. That's just my takeaway.
What have you done to Kim Scott?
Yeah,
Well,
I was going to just ask. Spill the tea.
The city council is acting like, we have homeless in Lowell? Oh my God, we've got to do something about this. They're acting like they just discovered we have homeless. And it was so nice, I think it was a captain, maybe he was a lieutenant, the guy, and I forget his name, I have a brain cramp on his name. Nice cop that came and did the crime report at the Back Central Neighborhood Group, and they give you this nice paperwork.
Peasley?
I don't want to say,
Oh, okay.
I texted David Coach for the name, and I couldn't, but they give you the crime stats, and he did a really good job telling you how many crimes were committed, and he used the word herded in his talk. And they herd the homeless. My takeaway from what he said, not quoting him, but after listening to him, that they're herded to the South Common. So they kick you off of a property. Where do you want us to go? Go over the South Common. They used to, they're on the South Common because that's where all the services are. That's the excuse to send them there. So it seems to me, my takeaway from the Back Central Neighborhood Group meeting last night, that the city is herding the homeless to the South Common. And Wayne Janess, Kim Scott didn't offer any kind of correction to that verbiage. And it was just an interesting thing to watch. So I'm sick of it. So, when Eileen was around, there were 20, maybe 40 tops people living on the common. Now we have 200. Good job, Mr. Golden.
Yeah, well,
I know I'm being sarcastic.
but you're missing a point, though.
Give me the point.
When Eileen was the city manager, we had a program that was Lowell focused for homelessness, and she abolished the program and made us part of the balance of state, and thinking that this would solve the problem, and it didn't. I think it just made it worse.
But everyone's trash was picked up on Columbus Day. And now our trash gets picked up. Even if there's a holiday, and I missed it this week, like, I don't get it. Like, we're souped up on issues that need to be, that aren't really the issue. That people's brains are trained to, like, an extra day for trash, and now it's like trash pickup on steroids, and there's a ton of other issues in the city that aren't getting attended to.
Yeah. So, let's see. Eileen, there's some report out on something called MassCore, the state recommended program for study for preparing high schoolers for college. And somebody took a look at it and said half the state's school graduate requirements meet or exceed MassCore, but the other half don't. Do we follow this MassCore requirement, do you know?
We should, but we do what makes the least amount of waves possible.
Who's the we?
Lowell.
We don't hold anybody accountable for anything. anymore because we can't. So our kids aren't as ready for college as they should be, but colleges have also dumbed down their expectations of students at the same time. So, and then we see the results in the workforce.
Got a question for Eileen.
John has a question for you before we go back to this.
Eileen, I'm hearing that the school committee voted out Bobby Hoey's idea that all Lowellians have to get an interview. Can you roll that out for us? What actually happened? Because when Bobby Hoey was on the school committee, he passed a rule, well, I don't know what the word would be called for the school committee, but he passed an understanding amongst the school committee, if a Lowellian applies for a job in the Lowell School Department, they have to get an interview. And you guys changed that. That's what I'm told. Can you?
No, we didn't. We did not change that. Our superintendent,
Who works for you, yes, listening to you.
right? But we can't tell him who to hire or not to hire, or how to do certain things. I think everybody saw
Yes, you can.
Magali Ronan.
Yes, you
as
can.
the-
You can tell him how to do things.
No.
Yes, you can.
No, we can't get involved with the hiring that
He doesn't have to do it, but you can tell him what to do.
But he
Am I
does
right or
what he
am I wrong,
wants to
Cliff?
do.
I
And
think
then
you're
the mayor
wrong
backs
because
him.
the law says that there are certain things that belong to the school committee and certain things that belong to the superintendent. If they don't like how the superintendent is doing the things that belong to the superintendent, they should fire him.
So their only alternative is to fire the guy.
Yeah.
The whole entire city wanted him. That's all I have to say. The whole entire city wanted Skinner.
Including me. So isn't
Yeah.
Skinner coming Monday?
Maybe not this Monday, maybe next Monday.
But when he comes, I'm going to ask him,
Good.
what the hell's the matter with you? A Lowellian doesn't get an interview.
All right.
Does it make it easy? Because Lowell,
John, in accordance with the one sheet, pass that on and I'll make sure it comes up.
we're having a conversation, Cliff.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk about this anymore.
No, I want to get back to, there's a requirement under this Mass Core that students get 4 years of English, 4 years of math, 4 of phys ed, 3 of science and social studies, 2 years of a world language, and 1 year of the arts, and 5 electives. If we vote out the MCAS and we're not using Mass Core, then we have no standard. I don't
I
understand.
got to go get Greg.
Oh, okay. I don't understand it. Eileen, where are we on this?
Eileen just arrived here, so can we? Oh, Greg Pappas is here.
Yeah.
Very nice. All right, I'm coming in. So can we talk about this at the beginning of the 7 o'clock hour?
Yes.
All right.
All right, so there we are. So one of the things that I found interesting was last weekend Martha Raddatz was interviewing candidate J.D. Vance, and the issue of Trenda Aragua, the TDA, which is a Venezuelan gang, had taken over some apartment buildings in Aurora, Colorado, which Aurora and Colorado are trying to play down. And Martha Raddatz says the incidents were limited to a handful of apartment complexes, a handful. And J.D. Vance says, do you hear yourself? Only a handful of apartment complexes were taken over by a Venezuelan gang? And Donald Trump's the problem and not Kamala Harris, his open borders? I think that the issue of the Venezuelan gangs taking over apartment complexes, not just Aurora, also San Antonio, Texas. I think that it's a terrible thing. And to minimize it is wrong. I mean, I'd be very upset if we had the Trenda Aragua taking over an apartment complex here in Lowell. I'd be very upset. But, so, Greg, why don't you sit down?
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Want
So-
to be in the middle, me at the end?
Yes, you get the, so, don't forget to turn your mic on. So one of the questions now with regard to the war in Ukraine, which came up in the debate, the Senate debate, about where do we stand on the war in Ukraine. Apparently, North Korean soldiers are showing up in Ukraine. I heard a report this morning that Ukraine's claiming 10,000 are en route. That's a lot of people. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I heard that too. Yesterday, yeah, right?
Yeah?
Well, you have better, you're old Pentagon guy, so.
No, all I know is what I read in the newspaper.
Okay, I'm sorry.
To
Get in
quote,
trouble.
to quote, who is that? I can't remember, the roping cowboy, I can't remember his name now.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I've seen that guy too, yeah. But it's true though.
Yeah, died with Wiley Post in an airplane crash. Yeah, Rogers. These before your time, John.
I'm fooling around with the computer, Cliff, not really paying attention to you. Sorry.
Okay.
I'm not sorry, it's just logistically I have to do certain things.
So we're down to the last minutes, and so I'll introduce Greg Pappas, retired from being our elections person, so I have a couple of elections questions for him. And Eileen Delrossi has showed up,
Hello, I've missed you.
and I encouraged her to not stop by the donut shop, but she did anyway.
It'll be consumed.
Yes.
Look at this beauty.
We'll take care of
I
that.
gotta show you my beauty here. Look at that.
And
Look at my
Eileen,
M&Ms.
the question before Eileen was the Mass Corps for Education.
And that's how we're going to start the 7 o'clock hour, right? Or
Well,
we're just...
I'm just trying to fill the next 45 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, we should, but I don't think we...
All right,
Hold true to anything.
we'll hold it for a minute. But Greg,
Okay.
how's retirement?
Good, it's, I just really kind of got into it. I had some things to deal with, family issues and stuff, but last night I went to a thing downtown. It was kind of fun for a governor's council candidate, and Senator Pangiatakis and I went over to the Athenian, and a couple of guys, Calvin Brown, was city councilor in
Was
Chelsea.
it Eunice?
Yeah.
She's great. I met her at
Yeah, Thea went to school.
Karen Cassell's party.
Yeah, yeah, she's very nice. But Calvin came, we used to work in Galvin's office, he's still down there, he's city councilor, and Governor Councilor Terry Kennedy.
We gotta go to break. Hold that
Interesting
thought.
guy.
We're going to break.
Interesting guy.
We're going to break. That is the hunter's moon you're looking at? Going back to Cliff, thanks.
Wow.
Yeah. Hunter's
Good.
Moon, wow.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. My co-host, Eileen Delrossi,
Good morning.
over there on the right. And between us, Greg Pappas, who's retired as our elections chief. And, of course, we have our producer, John McDonough. And we have lingering from a previous hour the question of standards to which we hold our high school students for graduation. There's the MCAS, which could get voted out, and there's Mass Core, which a recent study said only half the high schools follow that guidance from DESE, Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. So over to you, Eileen.
You know, Mass Core is something that aligns with the curriculum standards, right? So apparently we're preparing our students in alignment with the Mass Core. So, yes, what was the question?
All right, are we
That's good.
Are we using Mass Core as a way of making sure our students are prepared for college or for trade school?
Can somebody tell the audience what Mass Core is? I don't know what Mass Core is.
Mass Core is Massachusetts High School Program of Studies.
A bunch of state authorities getting big checks. Are they in work yet? Or are they still working from home?
I'm the wrong person to ask about this, being on the school committee and in the field of education. So I do believe a lot of people from DESE are still working from home, and they're virtual.
They don't feel safe to go in. What a life.
Right? I live and breathe this stuff every day, and what I see is a huge crisis. Education is in a state of crisis, and teachers are on the front line showing up every day to do the best that they can with the students in front of them. And then you have the people in charge who are using these big words and acronyms. And at the end of the day, all we can do is give our students what they need, where they're at, and be there. I mean, I have a 7th grader who's at a kindergarten level for reading. And, you know, my goal is to beautiful, beautiful girl. My goal is to teach her how to read and to have confidence in herself before she ends up making poor decisions and ends up getting pregnant, most likely. So that's the reality of what we have in front of us. And kids that don't think through any situation, even if they can read, right? And even if they can comprehend, and even if they can read and write, they're lacking common sense. They don't go out and play and ride bikes, and they don't do that anymore. They're on a computer all the time. There's excuses for everything. They manipulate situations. Kids are manipulating parents, teachers, and this warm fuzziness of how everyone wants to talk about their feelings. I get it. I respect it. But at the end of the day, when we go to school, we need to learn to read and write, and it doesn't matter what the acronyms are. We need to keep these kids focused on their job is to do well in school right now. And pay attention and be respectful, because today we don't see respect. A lot of parents don't respect teachers, therefore their children don't respect teachers, and it's a crisis. It's an epidemic of, it's horrible. Like, we need to put more funding into education to get more programs that are at our students' level, instead of talking about all these acronyms or, you know, it doesn't matter if we get rid of the MCAS or not. I don't even think it does matter, because everyone's still passing along anyway, even with the MCAS. So I have nothing. I'm broken by the state of education right now. I understand administration needs to do what they need to do. Teachers on the front lines with these students have to do what they have to do, and all we can do is our best. So that's my long-winded, angry answer to that
No, that's
question.
excellent. I think, I agree with Eileen. When I was a kid, teachers ran the classroom. The principal came in, they ran the office. Principal didn't tell the teacher what to do. Teacher dealt with the kids. If a parent had a problem, the kid was a problem, the kid was out. Not going to affect the other, the parent was out. They should let teachers run the classrooms again, that's it.
And,
End
but
of story.
also, we're not allowed to hold parents accountable
Yeah,
anymore. And it's very
yeah.
rare you get a parent
Yeah.
on your side. Like, I
Yeah.
had to call a parent
Right.
yesterday about
Terrible.
a student, and I've known your child for 2 years, and she's very smart, and it's not that she can't do the work, it's she's choosing to behave like this. And this parent said, I tell her all the time, you treat your teachers the way you treat your parents, with respect. You don't make their job harder. Like, these kids need to be called out on their baloney.
Right.
And everyone feels like it's offensive to almost do that. But talking to a parent like I did yesterday was reaffirming. Like, don't let her play that game. And I said, I'm not. She's too smart for that, But I need you, like, we need parents on our side as teachers. The majority of us don't have parents on our side.
I have an old text, and I don't know, we talked about a lot of stuff this morning, Cliff. This text is from YouTube, so does this make any sense? I want to blow it up a little bit more.
Smoke lots of weed 420.
Yeah, I think he's in Utah.
Only takeaway was it isn't rape by New Jersey legislative definition because he used.
What is?
I don't know did we talk anything about this?
Was this about the Sandra Birchmore?
I don't know.
No, this is something totally different, in which it is suggested that someone who molests a female with their finger is not really raping them. That's a bad definition. The legislature needs to go back to work, I think.
Well, one thing you said, Eileen, is all the lingo and stuff like that and everything. I mean, I saw groupthink years ago when I worked in Congress with Chester Atkins. I walked out of a room. I'm just sitting here, listen to this kid from the National Committee telling 30 congressmen and their aides, use these words. So whenever I tell people, whenever somebody walks in a room or whatever it is, you hear abundance of caution, subsequently, they start talking like that, they have no brain in their head. They're all groupthink. Walk away, and then ask them, are you an individual, or what are you listening to all this stuff for? I want, tell me what you think. And they can't. They start using all the phrases and all that. It's so crazy, but that's part of programming. And, that's just something I saw it in government years ago.
Everyone's
It
supposed to
doesn't
read a
work.
script.
Yeah, right. It doesn't work, and it takes away individuality, brains, it's just disgusting.
I worry that when candidate Harris is talking, that she kind of gets caught up in the words and in using acceptable phrases, like when she says, it's time to make things happen and now is the time. Well, don't talk to me about the time, talk to me about the thing that happens.
Discovering another text. This is from the New York charity ball for the raising money for the Catholics. And I asked who the blonde lady is, and Gail Ann Desmond says, looks.
Martha McCallum from Fox News.
Yeah,
Oh, how's Robin doing as superintendent? I miss her.
She
I
seems
miss
to
her
be doing
face.
okay. I saw her Saturday at Mass. Gail Ann wasn't there. Gail Ann, where were you? But
Maybe she was sick.
Maybe she was sick. But anyway,
Maybe she went to an early dinner.
Robin.
Maybe
Robin,
she had a date.
Robin seemed to be happy with the way things are going.
Good.
And I have, and I need to reach back out to her, but I invited her to come on for 15 minutes and talk about the MCAS question, to give her opinion. So we'll see how that works.
It's interesting. Governor Healy, Mora took a stance on that.
What'd she say?
She's not in favor of it being taken away,
Oh,
which I thought was interesting. I didn't expect her to go that way. I thought she would have been in favor of. Is the teachers' union in favor of getting rid of it, or are they in favor
oh,
of it?
yeah.
They are?
Huge about getting rid of it because
Right,
we're, like you just said, we're not teaching
Right.
the student in front of us.
Right.
We're teaching to a test.
Test, yeah. Yeah.
In teachers' individuality
Right.
of who they even are, of teaching content and creativeness and what sparks a student
right,
is not promoted anymore.
Right.
And a lot of good teachers, especially teachers in the union, know this.
Yeah.
They saw before MCAS, they saw after MCAS.
That was-
Is Randy Weingarten the president of your union?
I believe so.
I just saw something last night, where she had been taking funds and using it to party out in Nevada. Squandering
Vegas?
funds, yeah.
I always wondered about the SATs too and all that. Like, do we still need those? What brought them on? You know,
That was the requirement. I graduated in '98 from Lowell High, and that was the requirement. You would
Yeah.
take your pre-SATs and your
me
SATs.
too, yeah, 70s, back in the 70s.
And that was it. But even, I know my SATs, I did horrible on,
That's
right?
the thing.
And
And then
then-
you just excel later on.
Where did you graduate in your high school
Yeah.
class, though?
I don't know. Do you know where you graduated in your high
Yeah.
school class?
They never told us either, yeah. Right.
Yeah, I was in the bottom half
No,
of my
yeah.
high school class.
No idea. Yeah.
I'm sure I was too.
And I was in the bottom half of my college class. On the other hand,
And you ended up a colonel.
to the tests, I got an appointment to the Coast Guard Academy
Right.
based on passing a test.
Right.
I got good scores in my SATs. I got an appointment to the Air Force Academy. I did not get a chance to go to, no, I forgot. There was a small college out on Long Island, Glen Clove, Long Island. They didn't take me.
Oh,
I did the graduate record exam,
GRE.
the GRE. Everybody did it. I was in a classroom with about 100 people. I graduated in the bottom half of my class at college, but I got in the 90th percentile on the GRE, and I was the first one done because I was reading a book at the time, Herman Wouk's Cane Mutiny, and it fascinated me, so I just sped through that test, went out in the hallway to read my book. So tests are a reward for some of us who know how to take a test.
Right.
And it's since we don't do well in class, it's our way of making a mark. So
But-
I like tests.
Yet,
Yeah.
there's definitely something to say for a test,
Yeah.
studying and achieving and doing well on a test. I'm not taking that away in any point. But also, I know in our district, we don't even grade with the 90th percentile. We can't do that. It's standard. You either are meeting standard, or not meeting standard. So we don't even talk in numbers anymore because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings.
Yeah, that's.
We don't want to classify anybody. So if we've lost it so far, and that's what everyone's used to, how can anyone figure out even where to rank themselves?
Right, exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, there is no ranking of, okay, who's going to work together, and like, we've lost the ability to teach people just how to be human, and say the word "I'm sorry," and not stay in their feelings all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just do things that are wrong and just say sorry, right? And
Let's process the meaning of, when one says they're sorry, what is that supposed to, is it just a word? Like, my friend, George Oliveira, okay? He does public access shows, he has a radio show. And he said, John, in Portugal, I'm sorry, Dustin, cut it. You get a kick in the butt.
Right.
No, I get
In
it.
America, they go like, I'm sorry. And that's it. That's the end of it.
My context,
And we should look at our friends from Portugal and say, you know what? I think you guys have a better idea than us. Okay. Oh, well, don't hit the kid. Well, the kid, it's just a word
right,
that
no,
has no meaning behind it.
but, okay, so I'm talking in a classroom context, say kindergartners, first graders, or even fourth graders, right? That's the context I was thinking. Say they bump into somebody or say something rude, and you catch them right in the moment and say, that was wrong, you need to apologize, and you need to decide, whether or not you're going to accept it or not. And
Yeah,
most
mean
of
it,
the
right.
time, that when you're able to catch it that quickly for students today, it's a little bit like, oh, maybe, all right, I am sorry.
But
But-
my point, Eileen, is, does the child understand, process what it means
That's the
to
problem
say,
she's
I
talking about.
apologize?
Yeah.
Right. Some do. Some definitely understand because a lot of kids don't even want to say it. Trust me.
Yep.
But
But an apology without some form of restitution
Right.
is not an apology.
I agree. But we need to at least start there because we're not even starting there. We're starting at, why do you think you did this?
Right.
What are you feeling inside your big feelings? Not, accountability needs to be more verbal. There needs to be more even just verbal accountability.
Right.
And we're not even there. And that's why we're seeing the epidemic of this crisis in education right now. And it's scary. I say every day, the future of America is scary.
When we were kids, we had relationships with the teachers.
You
They-
wanted
they
to have a
want to,
healthy,
yeah.
good
And you can't
relationship.
today. The kids don't, yeah.
You wanted to
Right.
be able to have the downtime or help correct papers or erase the board or have a job to help clean and some great teachers still have the jobs in the classroom that students do and are able to set up that environment, but most teachers who are new aren't learning the way.
Right, right.
I don't understand this teaching to the MCAS thing. I realize it's jumping ahead to college, but I did no prep for the GREs, the graduate record exams.
Did no prep?
No. And I didn't do any prep for the SATs.
I don't think
Yeah,
I did
me
either.
either, yeah.
So I'm not sure about teaching, should be teaching to the test, but
So,
it should be teaching.
But they don't
Right.
let them.
but
I
it's
think-
connected to curriculum standards. So you have them working at a level that is beyond a very basic level. Let's take addition and subtraction and the new way that they're doing it now. If they don't learn a base way before they learn all these other complicated ways, a lot of kids aren't going to grasp it.
Right.
It's a whole new way of learning. But if you don't give a child a way to really figure out a basic level, like a lot of kids don't know their multiplication tables anymore because it's not always drilled. And then they want them to solve word problems and identify whether it's asking to add, subtract, multiply, or divide without giving them that foundational knowledge. But that's on the MCAS. So we're leaving gaps with it also, I feel like, is my philosophy on it. And it's difficult for kids with certain demographics in poor or poverty-ridden neighborhoods and maybe bilingual or trilingual, who are just who have no language. Maybe they're not strong in Spanish and not strong in English. we really need to start separating out and creating more programs that are appropriate for our population of students that we have today in 2024. Because we're still working in the model that I started with in 2004. And we're vastly different than 20 years ago. And we're still trying to get, I thought your phone was going with that. And we're still trying to get these extremely different kids to conform to a way we were teaching 20 years ago. And we can't expect it to be one size fits all.
Cliff, can you read this one?
Unfortunately, kids think they're special nowadays. The parenting is atrocious. The ones complaining the most are the adults. So I think that that's true, and I'm hoping when Liam Skinner comes in that we'll be able to negotiate getting,
Negotiate?
about getting in our person who is educating the adults.
Right. Well, and also that needs to happen. I mean, even the conversation I had with this parent yesterday, we was basically saying how kids knew to respect teachers when we were kids growing up. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Right.
You just did it.
Right.
And I was saying today kids expect the world to conform to them, and they don't feel like they have the expectation that they need to conform to the world so that they can.
That's been going on for so long now that it's traveled up into the, kids that are adults that are working. I had a neighbor that had a situation with that at work with a kid, but I go back to 12 or 13 years ago. You talk about saying stuff like, I'm sorry and meaning it. There was a young person who came in and the secretary had a project, and there was a couple of us overseeing him. We let him to learn something and we put him in charge of it and started doing it. And he says, but whatever you do, don't do this. And it was three of us said, don't do this. And he did it. And he screwed it up. And it was really bad. And I said, so what are you going to do now, right? And he said, this is about 12, 13 years ago. Well, I take full responsibility for it, which we hear from a lot of people and our elected officials. I said, okay, so what are you going to do then? I just did. I took full responsibility. I goes, no, you're not. You're going to quit.
We've
He said, well,
taken,
you're going to be quit or you're going to get fired. You can't just you can't just say the words.
and I think you just hit the nail on the head right there. And that's what I'm trying to express also, is that we've taken the ability for our students to
Right.
problem solve in real world situations away.
Right.
Because we need them to learn a certain way
Right.
now so they pass the MCAS.
Right.
Before in kindergarten, we learned to socialize and solve problems.
Right.
Now kids are expected to write a complete sentence by the end of kindergarten. And that's not always developmentally appropriate. And you
Right.
can go back to the stages of children and the research there. Not all kindergartners are ready to
do-
write a
right.
sentence, and they need to learn other skills, but there is no time in the schedule to do that anymore. So, yes,
Is that why they took away cursive writing too?
probably, yeah, because you can't assess that on the MCAS. 'Cause
Yeah, because what happens, we had kids at the secretary oversees, Galvin oversees the archives. We had kids coming, archival students from Northeastern coming down, everything's 1800. So
You
they come.
couldn't read the
We can't
cursive.
read, your archival students, we can't use you. You gotta be able to read this stuff. Well, can't we? No, you have to be able to, sorry. What do you think you're gonna be able to do? Go to the library in Washington? What are you gonna do?
Well, that's the thing,
I mean,
like,
what kind of idiocy was that?
we're missing huge, important pieces
Right.
with the testing situation. And
Okay, that's interesting, Eileen.
And like the cursive, the multiplication facts, where teachers have to move on. I hear teachers say it all the time, I have to move on to stay with the curriculum.
Right.
I have to move on. So sometimes they're spiraling in a curriculum, but overall,
Right.
there's no spiraling. And you can't go back and reinforce a skill that you just failed. And then, if they do spiral around to it again and they need that as a basic skill, yeah, we taught you that the fourth week in September, you don't remember, and you can't now use it, sorry, we have to move on yet again. So yet again, they're missing another skill
Right,
that they
wow.
need.
Now, you said write a complete sentence in kindergarten?
Kindergarten, yeah.
I would have been in deep trouble. I mean, I didn't, first, second grade, I was learning how to read. Kindergarten, I don't think I could have I could have spoken a complete sentence, but I don't think I could have written a complete sentence.
No, not, and developmentally.
And boys tend to like girls, don't they?
Yes. I'm getting
Except
all
in Massachusetts.
Oh,
John.
we're special.
We think we're special.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Nobody
That's
corrects the
very
crazy
interesting.
people in public life. Nobody corrects them. Don't want to be rude. I might offend them.
That's true.
Yeah.
So, I wanted to ask an election question.
Uh-oh. This is for you.
You're on the spot.
So,
Come out of
the
the hot seat now.
hurricanes in Florida and North Carolina, how's that going to impact the elections? Do you think that the election offices will be able to find the people and get their vote?
Well, hopefully they have an emergency plan, which they usually do, and then they have a special location set up. So no, it shouldn't really affect the elections at all. Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of people lost their lives. Of course, that's not going to work out for them.
No.
But they will. They have under FEMA and Homeland Security, and because elections comes on, technically, it's an act of war now if you mess up with elections. Like I was telling people at City Hall, and I'm not going to report you to the Attorney General. I'm going to the U.S. Attorney in Boston. That's what happens. The point is, they'll have special they can set up special polling locations for people that the polling locations are gone, that the town halls are gone and stuff. And they will do that. They have to do that. They're required by law to do that. Of course, today that doesn't mean anything, but required by law. But
What's the penalty for breaking the law?
Nothing.
well, technically, again, there's a federal elections act. There's all kinds of. I don't know the actual.
No.
John, I don't know the actual statute.
Take off Nikki's.
Yeah, I don't know the
shoes.
actual statutes on breaking the law. I mean, I do know, I think if you vote twice, I know it's a federal crime. Is it 5 years in jail or whatever?
Well,
I don't know.
what happens if
It's up to the judge,
What happens if a city or town decides, you know what, this early voting business, it's a waste of our money. It's not being utilized like it should be.
Yeah, that happened. Yeah.
Let's cut it down
Yeah.
to half.
Yeah.
I know of no penalty for doing such a thing.
Well,
But this
the-
democratic state,
Yeah.
it's a form of crucifixion to the management of your
Now, when you're saying
municipality.
early voting, you're talking about by mail, or you're talking about like City Hall starting Saturday, tomorrow?
City Hall starting tomorrow.
That's, yeah. So they're all set.
I'm not asking you if, I'm just saying, a lot of municipalities,
Yeah,
when I go to get death
Right.
certificates or
Right.
whatever I'm getting at town
I
hall.
know, I saw it, yeah.
Chit chat with different people.
Yep.
And they think it's a waste of our staff's time.
We'd only had, the last time I did one was very low turnout, but interesting though, this time, less and less people are putting it in the mail, they're bringing them in, and they're gonna be voting this next 2 weeks, but I know what you're saying. But they can't cut the time down, they're set, Lowell's set by the size.
I understand, but
Okay, so you
my
know that
point,
then.
Greg,
Okay.
is there's no penalty for breaking the law.
Well, if they
So
do
if
that, I
Mis-
don't,
if
I
Mr. Golden
can't
decides-
say that, because I don't know what, the Attorney General comes in at that point.
Okay, I'm gonna do the announcement
So
real
wait,
quick.
John, before you go do the
Yes, Cliff.
announcements.
Yeah.
Please.
So what about the fact that the Department of Justice is suing the state of Virginia because within 90 days of an election, they're going through the voter rolls and dropping off people who don't exist?
And maybe, not properly registered. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
not
interesting,
properly
yeah.
I'm not getting your question.
So, I mean, you've got the state of Virginia being sued by the federal government because of how they're conducting their election.
Well,
So
let me
they're forcing changes
let me
to
put this into
the
your pretty ear, okay?
election.
Massachusetts, for about at least the last 5 years, has had the electronic death certificate. Why did that happen? So they can shut off your social security check instantly. That's why the electronic death certificate actually happened. So the federal government doesn't have to do a doggone thing. As soon as the undertaker puts your social security number and he or she hits enter, bingo, your social security check shut off just like that. The wizards in Massachusetts decided, well, shouldn't we cut them off the voter rolls at the same time? And they go, no, we can't do that because we have people whose jobs it is to do that. So we don't want it to happen automatically. We want to keep these positions working. What a stupid avenue to go down, but that's what Massachusetts chose to do. And I'm going to guess Virginia tried to do the same thing. I'll do your comment, then I'm going to do my announcements.
Carry on.
Okay. If you want an announcement on the show, real easy thing to do, send me a text. Real easy, okay? Today, let me get my glasses on here so I can see when I press the right button here. Today is Friday, the 18th of October. And if you want a nice $2 delicious lunch at the Lowell Senior Center, the only rule is you gotta be over 60 years old. Head over there around 10:30, give Tara your $2. If you don't have your $2, we'll let you eat for free. Baked cod dinner.
What's the difference between baked cod and baked haddock?
You're not 60, so we can't tell you.
I get it. Secret squirrel lunch.
But the Lowell Senior Center has lunch 7 days a week. So a tip of the cap to the Lowell Senior Center for your service to the community. God bless you. Moving right along to the LRTA. They're having this. Your mics are still hot, so they can hear you talking, so stop making fun of me.
Sorry.
You're invited to Fill the Bus food drive, Wednesday, October 30th, from 9 to 2 p.m. The management, union, drivers, dispatchers, mechanics, service crew are hosting a food drive. Our goal is to fill a bus with food for the benefit of the Merrimack Valley Food Bank, which is Merrimack MVFB. Donations can be dropped off at our designated parked bus at the LRTA terminal. I think it's at the Kennedy Center. Yeah. The Kennedy, they call it the LRTA terminal, but I think it's also called the Kennedy Center. 115 Thorndike Street in lovely Lowell, Massachusetts. And it lists all the things they really need. And I'm going to blow this part here up a little bit and scroll it up. Get on the screen, Johnny boy. There you go. That's what they're looking for. Peanut butter, all kinds of good stuff. So when you go to the Melissa's, pick up an extra one and make somebody happy. Coming right along is the Greek Food Fair. It's coming up at the Hellenic Cultural Center, 41 Broadway Street. On Saturday, November 2nd, a tasty day from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Please consider stopping by there for some great food and a lot of smiles. And the Town of Tewksbury Veterans Day ceremonies, Monday, November 11th, 11 a.m. in the Town Common. Very moving ceremony they have there. Hope you're able to get out there and enjoy that. And that's all my announcements. Back to you, Cliff. Thank you.
Is it at 11 o'clock on the 11th of November?
The bus?
Going back.
No, the veterans thing.
11/11 at 11.
Perfect.
And Mark Kratman said this to us. Thank you.
You know, the bus thing, Cliff, would be, you know what I think I would do with that?
What?
If they advertised and did a real good job putting it out there about the food bus, put a bus out, let it travel to all the bus stops, and people can come out and put stuff on it. You fill up a bunch of buses fast, and put a thing on, food bus only, you know? And then you go to all the stops like a Dracut and stuff like that, come, people wait for you. It's hard to get down the LRTA, you know? People will tell you that, you know? That's what I
Maybe
would
they
do.
should have a bus that just roams the stops.
Just says food bus and tell us when it's gonna be coming. You know, like the one that, there's one in Dracut, stops right at Evan, the plaza across from the post office. People love food drives because it's instant results, you know?
Yeah.
I was involved with a few, and it's so good, you know?
Good idea.
You know, that's what I would do.
Can you drive a bus?
No, I can't talk, but I don't
Because I
have a
can talk to
license.
Tommy Bomo, maybe he'd let
Yeah,
you drive
but
a
I mean,
bus
if they
around.
did that, that's, and advertise, I think people would be surprised how many people would be waiting
Eileen
there.
might go with you. She'd just be riding on the bus. She'd actually stack the food in the bus.
Eileen?
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be
I'll
fun.
organize it.
Yeah. But I
So-
mean, you'd have a ton of, you really fill
Cliff, can you drive a bus?
Yeah.
No.
It's too bad, I know I know they can't take one out of
I've
service, maybe,
driven a bread van.
but they probably don't have enough to take out of service, but that's how you would really let people know when it's gonna be coming through Dracut, when it's gonna be coming through parts of Lowell. I'll tell you, that's what I would do, but that's just me, so.
Okay, good idea. Back to you, Cliff.
Sorry, Cliff.
Okay, so, total change of pace. Eileen, when you're at a stoplight or someplace like that, do you follow the Langley rule? Which means that you can see the road behind the rear tires of the car in front of you?
I've got better with that
Yeah.
since my younger days.
So, I call it the Langley rule because a bunch of employees of the Central Intelligence Agency at their Langley facility
Right.
didn't do that. And they were all lined up to make a left-hand turn, and some
Craned
random
them all.
Pakistani with a rifle killed a bunch of them.
Oh, I remember that,
Yeah.
I remember that, yeah.
Because they couldn't-
move around each other.
They
yeah.
couldn't pull out of the
Yeah.
lane. So you keep that space
Right.
Always.
so that you have enough space that if something happens, you can have a chance of pulling out
Right,
and getting around them.
Yeah, I
Or
always-
as I like to think, pull out and then ram the guy.
right. Well, what's interesting now is if you look at the vehicles today, when we were kids back then,
Yeah.
the plates were below the bumper, so you had to
Yeah.
be way back. Now you can pull up on somebody's bumper and the plate's right there, so it's higher. But I always tell people that because of Homeland
Yeah.
Security stuff I did, like you said,
Yeah.
Cliff, leave room in case you have to
Yeah.
go around. And if you're on 93 or something and things start happening,
Yeah.
go the wrong way, drive them, think the exact opposite way you're supposed to do. Drive through the grass, do whatever you have to do to get out of there. Unless you're armed and you can help out.
My buddy Juan Perron was
There you go.
on Interstate 95, and he was almost to the Pentagon when that airliner went into the Pentagon, and he said it looked like a 2,000-pounder going off.
Right.
And the traffic stopped, and that's what he did.
Right.
He
Turned around.
turned around, and because he was I think it was in the HOV lane, he went
Right.
down. He went down on the verge, and it started, and
Right.
people followed him. And they kept on going.
That's what you do. You have to do that,
Yeah.
Cliff, you want to read? I got three. There's more.
Sam Mays says hello to John, but he doesn't say hello to the rest of us. Sam, what's the story? Anyway, Sam says, I'm confused, very confused. If the state and cities are instituting early voting, why do we need an election day?
Right.
Moving right along.
Well, they haven't, it's been going on since COVID, John? Early voting, yeah?
Well, that's a kindergartner's answer, because.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of things you need to repeal since COVID, like voting by mail.
So this comment, Ms. Delrossi, accountability is taught. My point
not
to
taught.
Eileen was,
Not
Wha-
taught.
They're not allowed to.
thank you for the correction.
They're not allowed
But
to.
the issue is, the children don't understand the word accountability.
No.
They
Yeah, I
just
agree.
parrot it back. Like, what's HTO? Water. They don't understand what the whole thing, they just know what the right answer is. They parrot back the right answer.
Yes.
And that was my point.
I agree.
They don't know, sorry, they don't know what's, like, George Oliveira, when he told me that, it just stuck in my head.
Right.
God bless the guy, good
But you
point.
gotta start somewhere.
We-
so
Here's a wicked
teachers are
long
great
one.
source.
Eileen, you like to read wicked long stuff, this is yours.
How is the Mass Board of Education preparing high school students for success if they don't even know anything about banking and personal finance? They can't use social studies to handle finances as an adult. They get married at 27 with 80,000 plus in debt. It's just dumb how the Board of Education ignores this. Mass legislature should put finance as a requirement for graduation on the ballot, guaranteed to pass. I completely agree with you. But
Hey, that was well written, John.
I mean,
The comment came through my cell phone, a text. Thank you for your text.
yeah, you're
If you don't sign
absolutely
your text, we
right.
don't say your name, so that's why it's,
To Greg's point, even, we're not teaching cursive, so how could even kids, learn the value of a checkbook, signing it. They don't know how to sign their name. They're not taught cursive.
They have no legal signature, they sign an X, yeah.
Yeah, and
Which, yeah, was years ago looked at as uneducated, right?
Yeah.
But we need to teach personal finance.
Yeah.
Call it wealth, I don't care what you call it. It needs to be taught in every grade, starting in grammar school.
You can go even further, John, and, we live in a country that the stock markets, they wonder, there's a difference between the rich and the poor. If you taught the stock market in school, so kids get out and learn that there's probably, you can invest in the stock market and you can become a millionaire or a billionaire too, but nobody even knows how to do that, most except for very wealthy families or people that are going to finance.
Well-
If you taught that, there was a possibility. I wish I knew when I was coming out of high school, I paid no attention to it.
Credit card
You know?
debt, when a credit card company, when a bank
Right,
gives you a credit card your first year in college,
right.
you just, well, it's easy. I went down and charged all my books. I didn't tell my mother, but I bought a computer. And, we needed a TV for the room, so I bought a TV for the room.
Right.
And before you know it,
Yeah.
your mother calls you up and says,
What's this? Yeah.
why did I just get a credit card bill for $5,000?
Yep, there you go.
they don't realize their job in college is to be a college student. They're
Yeah.
not working to actually pay
Well, no,
that
but they
off.
don't understand how credit cards actually
No,
work.
Right.
No, I
And
agree.
it's a learnable skill, but
Right.
we all, up to now, have to learn the hard way. And that comment from the audience, getting married with an $80,000 credit card bill, you're not telling your girlfriend, you're not telling your boyfriend, I owe 80 grand. It's a big secret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And things happen, yeah.
Huh. Let me tell you how it was back in the old days. Never mind. So, we get to, people can still update their registration until the 26th of October. And we vote by the 5th of November,
So what do you mean by registration? Is it car registration? What are you talking about?
voting registration.
What is that?
Voting registration?
Yes.
That's where you take a card and you mail it in to the election office, and they look at it, and they say, and they throw it in the circular file, and you can't vote.
Well, it gets lost in the mail on the way.
Greg, can you tell me what voting registration is?
Which voting registry?
Yeah, Cliff just referred, I'm puzzled what he's talking
Well,
about.
most people come in person usually when they register, but we have people that do come, they do fill them out, right?
You only have to do it once.
Yeah, generally, unless you take it off and you move, or you move to another community, or you move next door, you move across the street, you have to re-register every time you move, so, but.
If you
and
change party affiliation.
Yes, yep, but the thing, what you're doing is, if you mail it in.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to show an ID when you go vote at the polls. So they'll mark, because you have to check the signature. But other than that, yeah, that's, they've been doing, that's, nothing's really changed since we were kids,
Yeah.
other than you can do it by mail now, but they got the early voting starting. I think you're gonna see a lot more people vote early voting this
Yeah.
coming up.
But you can check by going out on the Secretary of State's website, which was something you couldn't, when my son came and mailed in his registration and they threw it in the circular file, we didn't have this. So if you go sec.state.ma.us,
Yeah.
in case anyone didn't realize Massachusetts was in the US,
Yep,
/OVR.
yeah.
When you get a minute, Cliff, just read this one, please.
If the parents spend foolishly, the kiddos will spend foolishly. Personal finance should also be taught at home.
Very
Yeah.
true.
That's
I,
where I
Not teach
learned
what
it.
you don't know.
exactly. And kids do what they see their parents do.
Well, I learned the hard way. Did anybody learn from their mother and father, or did? So, Greg, how did you learn personal
yeah.
finance? Did your mother and father teach you, or did you learn on your own?
No, mother, father, yeah. Grandparents, uncles, aunts, everybody, yeah.
I'm still working on it.
Okay. So, Cliff, where did you learn personal finance?
My parents.
Okay, thank you.
So, to check your
I'm with
registration,
Eileen. I didn't know what to do.
check your registration, sec.state.ma.us/OVR.
All right, I
And
have
you
to
can make
take
sure
off.
you're registered.
Sorry.
All right, so
Great to
long,
see you.
Eileen.
Hugs. There you go. Good to see you.
right.
Okay,
Eileen's got to go to real work.
We're at
yeah,
real job.
take care.
I got it.
Okay.
So, well, last week there was an article in the Sun last Sunday that said that 135,000 overachievers had already voted as of the week before last. So
Voted where?
voted in Massachusetts.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
That's actually quite low then.
Yeah.
That's really low for a presidential election. 135,000? Yeah, that's
Yeah.
pretty low. You have 1 million, 2 million people vote. So,
So I hear that early voting is down a little bit in the country.
yeah, by mail,
Yeah.
not the early voting in person.
Yeah.
Yeah, by mail it is. And I think people got the message from what I said in Lowell,
Yeah.
but I'm not just saying Lowell, it was what the national election officials said. You mail it, you're probably not going to get it there in time. Then the post office, they come out and say, we are having problems. They never got added people to carry all these millions
Yeah.
of pieces of mail. And the cost of it now, I mean, I bet you it's about, I think it was 187 in the presidential primary. I bet you they're close to $3 now for this election with all the pages to it. But you put it in the mail, it's just like I used to have to mail in Lowell 3 different places. We would take, I told you, that Belvedere would have to go to Barica. If
Yeah.
we mailed it in Lowell, it would go to Boston, everywhere, come back. Centerville had to be mailed to Dracut, they get it the next day. But when people from Centerville and people from Belvedere mail this stuff in Lowell, it goes to Boston, Manchester, everywhere. It could take 9 to 14 days to get back to Lowell. And it could get lost, you know? And like I said, there were pieces lost that came back late, and I know the secretary said, you know, what's name, Deb, who worked with me in the Galvin's office, said, we didn't see 402 pieces missing, we only saw 132. Yeah, those are what we put in the system, but when the day ends, that you don't put any more in, that they came in late, the ones that still come in stay in the office. We had 402 ballots that didn't get counted, because they came in late with the mail. You don't want that to happen. Go in person, you know?
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
When my father was still alive, living
Yeah.
out in Huntington Beach, California,
Right,
I could drop something in the mail
right,
on Saturday, and he'd call me on Monday to talk to me about it.
right.
So that was good mail delivery.
Yeah, I think, who knows what their issues, they might be short people too, but the thing is that, again, you know, you're over flooding something at one period with stuff that, I mean, we had, 9,000 pieces of mail in Lowell that couldn't be delivered.
Greg, is it a law in Massachusetts that you have to have a drop-off box
No.
at your town hall?
No,
Because I see one out in Tewksbury, see
Yeah.
one out in Chelmsford.
right.
Haven't noticed one in Dracut. Does Lowell have a
Right.
drop-off spot?
We had 2 in Lowell, and when I was there, and one got broken into, and they didn't get into it. We even though we had a police camera there.
Those Republicans are awful.
Yeah, they bent the thing so we couldn't use it, so that went upstairs. The second one, the same thing happened out on the police side, you know, where they door where I saw you that day going in from the JFK side.
The
So-
ground level door on the police
Yeah.
side of the city hall, yes.
So I ended up putting it inside the police station. They broke the lock. Now, I can't, problem is, if they steal those ballots and it's your ballot, I have no idea. So again, your votes don't get counted. These things.
So the safest thing to do is go to City
Yeah.
Hall,
Right.
walk in the office, and what happens when I walk in the office?
Yeah, you give it to one of the clerks, and they take it and they scan it in, the system. They'll open it first to make sure you signed it, the inside envelope, and then they scan it in. If it's a second one, like say you got 2 and you forgot or whatever, it'll tell you, no, you're already in the system, you already have a ballot here, we'll put this on the side. But that's how you catch stuff like that too. But the thing is
So
that.
again, safest thing to do is actually bring it into your
Right.
town hall,
Right. Right.
election office,
Right.
and hand it to the clerk.
And the problem again with the boxes in Lowell, I think we paid, before I was there, like 2 or 3 grand for them. And Lowell lock came, I used one still in the police station, people can go in, because it's in the police station. I think Will still does too. Yeah, actually I know he does, because Timmy was going over there and unloading them. When Lowell lock came to fix the lock, he just, in front of me and Tim Coughlin, who worked there, he said, watch this. I mean, it's the design flaws. You know, 6 screws on, 3 there, 3 on the top. A little thing from Walmart, zing, 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 right? Takes the screws off, takes the cover off, there's the thing. So the kids trying to break in all they had to do is take the cover off. They're not safe. People have burnt stuff in Boston. They never know who voted. Their votes aren't going to get counted. They're not safe. I did put them in a police station. I had some people call out, well, we're offended because we don't like to go into the police station. I goes, that's not my problem if you're offended. You can bring it into the city hall. Well, you know, I goes, listen, you're afraid to go to a police station, then, you know, if you got a warrant on you something, that's not my problem. I mean, I mean, if you're one out of 10 million people, you're not important to me. I'm sorry. The majority of people are more important. We put one there, and that's if you're offended by police, well, that's your issue. So, there is one in there. You can put it in there if the city hall's not open, you know.
Thank you.
But I'm sorry, that stuff just really bothered me. But they're not safe. I just don't like them. Like I said, we got to go back to pre-COVID. All this stuff was COVID. Go back to voting. I always said along, we should have a national voting day. Huh?
We're not gonna do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
The
Well,
state
it's gonna cost
legislature
them-
is so far crazed
Right.
up.
Well, the money's going to run out because it's cost a lot more money now. I bet you these ballots for Lowell Miller
Jobs.
about $3.
It's jobs, Greg. It's jobs.
not jobs.
Look at I got my brother a job. He's in charge of counting the votes.
No, it hasn't added any more jobs, John. I mean, and that's the problem. We needed to add 2 more people in elections because we were down. We're the 4th largest city. We had less people in Lowell than some of the towns around the area.
We had,
Yeah.
I think his name is Captain or Lieutenant Damaris last night was at the back central neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're down 31 cops. That's 9 cops per shift.
Yeah.
Can you imagine trying to do your job and 9 guys didn't come into work?
Yeah.
There's 9 guys never coming into work every shift.
Right.
I don't know about the fire department, but the police
Right,
department.
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
9 guys are not going to show up.
Right, but administratively, elections cost a lot of money, and the money can be used other places. If you stop mailing the stuff, if you stop doing it by mail, if you go back to election day only. And the people that need absentee ballots, the poor lady who was crying in my office because we didn't get her ballot from the hospital, it never
Yep,
made
yep,
it to us.
yep.
She's the one that needs absentee, the 300 that you normally get. You know, it's a shame, you know?
Good point.
So, anyways, that's my beef there.
So, I have a question, and now I don't know where I put it.
So, Greg, retirement, while Cliff's looking for your question.
Oh, here
got
it
any-
is, right here.
Okay, I'll stop asking questions.
So,
Right ahead, Cliff.
I picked up this item that said that we're getting election interference from England,
Interesting.
that the Labour Party is
Oh,
sending
I heard that.
100 people
Right.
over to help Kamala Harris. That doesn't seem right to me.
Yeah.
Is that election interference? By a foreign nation?
I don't know. I mean, there's 2 different faces of everything. We send Americans in to run other countries' elections.
Well, I know.
I don't know either. I mean, but see, to me, it's if they want to do that, that people can make the choice. It gives you a free choice to say, well, I'm
Yeah.
definitely not vote for her if she's using those people. I mean, they're not going to be able to do anything other than campaign, but it'd be nice if they told people they're British citizens and not American citizens. That's self-disclosure for transparency. But, I mean, I was surprised they even printed that, because that doesn't help out. I don't think the opinion of the American public, if we went over there, the Brits wouldn't be happy with us doing that,
Yeah. That's why vote in person is the best.
Now,
I was thinking, I'm an
Yeah.
old fuddy-duddy, but I like to do it on the day,
Yeah.
in person.
Right.
this is a unique comment. Somebody's paying attention.
Enjoy
Good
your
morning,
program.
John. Enjoy your
Today's-
program. Today is Friday, not Wednesday.
Yeah, there you go.
Have a nice weekend. Thank you, Nancy.
I mean,
What?
we just need to, should there be a national election day? I think there could be, there should be. I mean, that would make things easier. I mean, there's a certain amount of people that work, like hospitals and police and
Yeah.
fire and stuff, that are around no matter what holiday is it, but if you're gonna do that, people better vote, that's the thing. Forcing people to register to vote like they do through the state, register their motor vehicles, does not help make people vote.
No.
The candidates are the ones that have to drive the vote. If people don't like the candidates, they're not going to vote. If you don't want to register, you're not going to register. It's just not something people are going to do, and it makes more work for everybody. But registering to vote doesn't guarantee they're going to vote.
When I run into random people, I encourage them to vote.
Yeah,
I tell them
yeah,
it's important
Yeah.
scares the politicians.
Well, that's true. I mean, people look at not only the vote, they look at the no vote. Let me work in
Yeah.
elected officials my whole life. A lot of elected officials will look at if I ran against the blanks, how high was the blanks? They look at that. So if you blank somebody, and then they're running against nobody, somebody else might notice it the next year and say, I'm going to run against this person. That's just as big a vote. But we had Bobby Kennedy win by one vote for governor's council, 15,715 and 15,714. I remember because I was helping him. He's like my brother. And we had a governor during the Civil War in Massachusetts, won Massachusetts by one vote. Votes do count.
And if all of a sudden turnout in Lowell went to 50%,
Right.
all of the politicians would sit up and take notice and
Oh,
say,
absolutely.
what the heck?
Right.
So,
They're paying attention right now, Cliff. It's election season.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're going to see state reps who have any kind of, like, I'm surprised, I haven't heard from Vanna Howard, haven't heard from whoever the pirate party person is that's
Yeah.
running against her.
Yeah.
But you got Elizabeth Warren, who won't talk to anybody,
Right.
debating a guy on TV. And
Right.
that's, the politician, when it's election season, that's the only time they're nervous.
Yeah. But they're not, the vote's controllable now, to a degree, because
Yeah.
it's so small,
That's right.
you know?
And in a state like Massachusetts,
Right.
what does Vanna Howard have to worry about?
In that district, well, probably not much. I mean,
Well, for those depending on the machine to get them elected,
Right.
the magnificent Democratic machine, and the Democratic Party, they have a superior machine to get their people elected.
Right.
The Republicans don't respect it. The Independents go, it's not true. It
Right.
is. They have a magnificent machine to get their party reelected.
But it's not as
every
good as
time.
it used to be, John.
It's still the best machine. Did anybody get a better machine?
Well, actually, in some states now, the Republican Party's got more people on the ground,
Can you name one? No, that has a
Yeah.
better machine. No, the Republican Party, and I make fun of Cliff all the time, they have beautiful horses,
Yeah.
wonderful uniforms, brand spanking new, polished chrome swords.
They've had registered voting and stuff that's
But
really...
they're riding horses, and the Democrats
Yeah.
have artificial intelligence helping them get their candidates elected.
Right, but what I'm saying is that...
Who has artificial intelligence helping get elected besides the Democrats?
Yeah, I'm just saying, if you look at the voter turnout in a lot of states right now, the Republicans have registered more people. They have got more people to the polls early already, to
Yeah.
vote early. There's several states that they're doing, they have better ground game. Pennsylvania, they have
If
way
the
better ground game.
Democrats,
Yeah.
don't re-win the White House, the Democratic machine.
Yeah, but you're talking about the ground game. I mean, the machines. I mean, even with the, in Massachusetts, I mean, in August, if you look at the elections, there were 9,153 people in August that left the Democratic Party in Massachusetts, 1 month. It's crazy. I saw all them registering to vote in Lowell that were the last 3 weeks for Republicans and unenrolled.
We got like 60 seconds left, kids.
So it's just really interesting to see how
We're
much
gonna have
changes.
you back more often, Greg. Time flies.
Well, you have what, 8 wards in Lowell, and you only have what, 5 of them that have state committee people, and there's like only, I think, 11 is the most. Those used to be filled to the gills. Now you only have 5 out of the 8. I mean, even the Republicans will have 3, right? But you don't have them full. Even in Dracut, you couldn't get on a Dracut. There were 300 people waiting to get on the town committee. There were 35. Now they barely got 11. It's just stuff. But because the public's tired of parties, and I don't blame them. They're starting to figure it out. It's not about parties. You can't be down the line on everything. You have to be able to pick different issues.
This election could be an election of Americans because we're starting to see some of the blocks break up, like
Yes,
of
that's
blacks.
interesting. Yeah.
we're seeing that there are
Right.
blacks
Say goodbye,
that are
Mike.
actually turning out for
Take care.
Thanks for
Donald
watching.
Trump.
We'll see you Monday.
But you're right. You're right.